The rain started just after midnight. Thunder shook the windows of St. Mercy Hospital, while Dr. Daniel Reeves sat alone in his office finishing paperwork. Most of the staff had already gone home because of the storm, leaving the old hospital strangely quiet. Daniel hated nights like this. Rain always reminded him of Blackwater Lake. 3 years earlier, his 6-year-old daughter Emily had drowned there during a camping trip. Since that night, Daniel barely slept. He buried himself in work, treating disturbed children and pretending his own mind was still normal. A loud knock interrupted his thoughts. Nurse Carla stepped into the office looking nervous. "Doctor, the new girl is asking for you." Daniel sighed tiredly. "The foster child?" Carla nodded slowly. "She keeps saying strange things. That's common with traumatized children." "No," Carla whispered. "This feels different." Daniel stood up and followed her through the dim hallway toward room 306. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead while thunder echoed outside. "Where did police find her?" Daniel asked. "Near Highway 9, Carla replied. "Completely alone." "No parents?" "Nothing. No records either." Daniel frowned. That was unusual. When they reached the room, Carla stopped walking. "She only talks when she's alone with you." Daniel pushed the door open. A little girl sat quietly on the bed, hugging her knees. Long black hair covered part of her face. The moment she looked up, Daniel froze. She looked exactly like Emily. Same blue eyes, same freckles, even the small scar above her eyebrow. Daniel's stomach twisted painfully. The girl smiled softly. "You still miss her?" Daniel stared in shock. "How do you know about my daughter?" "She talks to me sometimes." Cold fear spread through his chest. Daniel slowly sat across from her. "What's your name?" "Lily." "Where are your parents?" "They're gone." "Do you remember where you lived?" Lily tilted her head strangely. "Near the lake." Lightning flashed outside the window. Daniel tried staying calm. Children often repeated things they overheard from adults. There had to be an explanation. Then Lily spoke again. "Emily says she was cold when she died." Daniel's face turned pale. Nobody at the hospital knew details about Emily's death. "How do you know that?" She told me. The lights suddenly flickered off. Darkness filled the room. Then Daniel heard wet footsteps outside the door. Slow, dragging. Water dripped across the hallway floor. The lights came back on seconds later. Nobody was there. But puddles of water stretched down the corridor. Daniel turned toward Lily. She was now standing beside the bed, although he never saw her move. "She followed you here," Lily whispered. Daniel immediately left the room. The next morning he requested Lily's case file, but there was almost nothing inside. No birth certificate, no fingerprints, no school history. It was as if the girl had appeared from nowhere. That evening, Daniel decided to visit the location where police found her. Deputy Harris drove him through the forest road outside town while rain continued pouring. "This area gives me bad vibes," Harris muttered. Blackwater Lake appeared through the trees. Daniel felt sick instantly. The deputy pointed toward an old dirt path. "She was standing there when we found her." Daniel stepped out of the car. The forest felt unnaturally silent. Then he noticed something hanging from a branch nearby, a yellow raincoat. Emily's raincoat. Daniel slowly walked toward it, his hands shaking. Inside the pocket was an old family photograph, but Emily's face had been scratched out completely. A child's voice suddenly echoed through the trees. "Daddy?" Daniel spun around. A small figure ran between the trees toward the lake. He chased after it desperately. When he reached the shoreline, the figure stopped. It was Lily. standing ankle-deep in black water. "You came back," she whispered. Daniel stared at her in horror. "What are you?" "She wants you to see." The lake water began bubbling violently. Something slowly rose from beneath the surface, a child's body, pale and swollen. Emily, Daniel stumbled backward in terror. Then the corpse opened its eyes. "Daddy?" Daniel screamed and ran back toward the road. Deputy Harris found him shaking beside the patrol car. "What happened? There's something in the lake." The officers searched the area that night but found nothing. No footprints, no body. Only dark water moving silently beneath the storm. Back at home, Daniel couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., his phone rang. No number. He answered carefully. Stack filled the line. Then a little girl whispered, "Come home." The call ended. Moments later, the lights inside his apartment shut off. Daniel grabbed a flashlight. A soft giggle echoed from Emily's old bedroom. His heart pounded. He slowly opened the door. The room looked exactly the same as the day Emily died. Toys covered the floor. Dust covered the furniture. But now the walls were filled with drawings, hundreds of them. Every drawing showed Lily standing beside Emily. One picture showed Emily underwater, reaching upward while Lily smiled above the lake. Written across the wall in red crayon were the words, "You left her." Daniel backed away in fear. Suddenly the closet door creaked open. A soaking wet child crawled slowly into the room, bones cracking, skin gray, eyes completely black. "Daddy?" Daniel screamed. The creature rushed toward him and vanished instantly. The lights came back on. The room was empty again, except for a puddle of lake water spreading across the carpet. The next morning, Daniel returned to the hospital and confronted Lily. She sat calmly in the cafeteria eating pudding. "What do you want from me?" he demanded. Lily looked up slowly. "You promised to save her." Daniel's breathing became heavy. "I tried." "No," Lily whispered. "You hesitated." Daniel froze, because she was right. The night Emily drowned, Daniel had been drunk beside the campfire. When he heard Emily screaming in the lake, fear stopped him for one terrible second. That second cost her life. Tears filled his eyes. Emily told me. Suddenly, everyone in the cafeteria stopped moving. Doctors, nurses, patients, all frozen completely still. Then every single person slowly turned toward Daniel at the same time, all smiling, all whispering together. "You left her." Daniel ran outside into the storm, but Lily stood waiting beside his car. "You can still bring her back," she said softly. Daniel stared at her desperately. "How?" "Go into the lake." That night, guilt dragged him back to Blackwater Lake. Rain poured heavily while thunder shook the sky. Lily stood near the shoreline smiling. "She's waiting for you." Daniel stepped slowly into the freezing water. Then pale hands grabbed his legs from below. Dozens of tiny hands pulled him underwater. Darkness surrounded him. Floating beneath the lake were hundreds of drowned children staring silently at him. Then Emily appeared, not dead, not rotting. Just his little girl crying softly. "Daddy?" Daniel swam toward her desperately. But Lily suddenly appeared behind Emily, her face twisted unnaturally, skin splitting apart, mouth stretching impossibly wide. Inside her throat moved tiny hands and eyes. "I needed a family," the creature hissed. Emily screamed as Lily dragged her deeper into darkness. Daniel fought upward desperately. Something clawed his back. Finally, he burst through the surface, gasping for air. Polaris lights flashed through the trees. Deputy Harris and several officers pulled Daniel from the water. But Lily was gone. The police never found her again. In fact, hospital records later showed that no patient named Lily had ever existed. No room 306 patient, no paperwork, nothing. But every time it rains, Daniel hears footsteps outside his apartment. Wet footsteps. And sometimes, late at night, his phone rings. When he answers, he hears Emily crying underwater.